Having a Super Bowl party is so fun and so easy if you just remember a couple of things. First, everybody's going to be eating in front of the television, so they kind of need to have food that's going to be easy to eat on their laps with their hands. I've got a great recipe from Bon Appetit. It's a chili queso dip. Phenomenal. And between that and a margarita bar, you've got a party. So here we go. Heat on medium. My great pan, 3 tablespoons of butter. In it goes, because we're going to melt it. Because I've got everything chopped, set, mise en place. Remember, always mise en place and to read through your recipes. This is my onions, my poblanos, and my serranos, and the garlic. Here they go. The great thing about mise en place is if you read through the recipe a couple of times and you see that there's either wet ingredients that are all going to hit the pan the same time or dry ingredients that are all going to hit the pan the same time, put them in one bowl. It's fewer bowls. We're going to saute this maybe 6 or 8 minutes. We want it to get nice and soft, get a little bit of color, not too brown, but a little bit of color. It adds a really nice flavor. We need a scratch and sniff on these kinds of things, I think. If somebody could just figure out how to do scratch and sniff on videos, we'd all be good. Now we're ready to add tomatoes. In they go. I seeded my tomatoes because it removes some of the water that's in the tomatoes. And it just sounded to me like I needed a little bit less liquid in here. So, but you don't have to. It's not going to hurt anything. The recipe doesn't call for it. It's fine. Need a little bit of salt on the tomatoes because it's always good. Kosher salt, remember, it's less salty than table salt, and you can control it better. So professional chefs, home cooks, kosher salt comes in a big box. It's easy to find. So we're just going to do this until the juices evaporate, but I think because I seeded them, there's no juice to evaporate. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add my 2 tablespoons of flour. Just going to incorporate this a little bit, just maybe 1 minute, because you don't want to really burn your flour. So we're just going to get it so it's all incorporated in here, because the next thing I'm going to add is the milk. And we're going to set this right down. That's all incorporated. Add it slowly, but get it in there because you don't want it to be burning too much. Let's whisk in that milk. And the flour we've just added to the tomatoes and everything is going to thicken up that milk really well. And you're going to continue to cook this. See, it's on a boil. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit because I don't want it to boil too much. We're just going to cook this till it thickens up because the flour is going to make it do that. It's convenient. See, it's starting to thicken up a little bit. Not quite as soupy as milk, right? And in a minute or two, we're going to add that cheese. And you're going to turn your stove down to low before you add the cheese. And you add the cheese slowly and gradually, and you stir constantly while you're adding this cheese because you want it to be completely incorporated and come up smooth. I'm going to use my hand. Sometimes your hands are your best tools, I have to say. See, this is really thickening up now. Cheese is a wonderful thing. But you have to continually move it, especially if you've got a very thin shred here like I have, because you don't want it to get clumpy. And it melts very quickly. If yours gets a little bit thick, you can add a little more milk and it'll help thin it out. but I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. So let's turn this off. Pull over the meat that I've spread in my 2-quart pan here. And I've got a ladle. It's probably not the best, but it's the way it's going to work. I don't know, that looks pretty good to me. You can see all the tomatoes and the peppers and everything that's in there. It makes it nice and colorful, not just cheese. Although cheese is pretty good. And I think that's about it. Okay, our queso's done. Let's go set the table. So now we've finished with the queso. Everything's ready to go. We're ready to set up. When you're getting your chips, make sure they're thick. You don't want it to break on your lap. Sour cream, guacamole, pico de gallo, a little cilantro for those of us that like the little bit of spice. And then you're going to set up your plates and your glasses so everything's ready to go. I love Yoshi. They're fun. They're great look, and I can toss them right out after the party. They even make cool margarita glasses. How neat are these? Because, you know, queso and margaritas. But for those of us that aren't a margarita drinker, but we do like our tequila, but we drink it straight, it's Don Julio. Now you've got a Super Bowl party.